All right. Good morning, everybody. My name's Christine Whelan, and today is the first episode for this season's Bergen Outlook. And today we have Mike Zielinski and Tom Tierney of Strayth, which is locally from New Jersey, Clifton, New Jersey. Hi, Mike. Hi, Tom.
Hello. What's up, Christine?
So, you both are Bergen alumni, correct? Mm-hmm. So after Bergen, you continued on to the School of Audio Engineering and the Institute of Audio Research, both in New York City. What kind of work did they have you doing there?
Well, I mean, over there, we did a lot of work in a lot of different fields, namely the usual recording, mixing, mastering. And then aside from that, we did all sorts of live sound, all sorts of acoustics, even electronics and stuff of that sort. But it was pretty cool. They really targeted us. Tom's school, I'm pretty sure, did more digital work. Mine did more analog, where we were well-rounded and brought about being able to go into multiple fields as we chose.
How about you, Tom?
I think a lot of what we did, like Mike said, we had a lot more digital work in front of us. Also, they had a class for audio electronics, and that involved circuitry and stuff like that, putting together microphones, taking them apart, figuring out where the wiring went, stuff of that sort.
All right, that's cool. And what kind of production work have you personally done since?
Well, I'm pretty sure we sort of split up. We did different things, and we went different ways. Now, I personally went through further into an internship where I eventually ended up assistant engineering, and then might have been able to even grab an engineering role if I didn't end up leaving. I found out eventually that the studio life just wasn't right for me. I was on the wrong side of the glass. But I got to really have a great experience and work with two amazing producers, Amund Bjorklund and Espen Lind.
And who are they?
Well, they're part of a songwriting team named Espionage.
Okay.
And these guys are known the most for, I believe it was in 2007, they released Irreplaceable by Beyonce.
Okay.
And then their latest hit was actually Soul Sister by Train.
Gotcha.
Which was pretty far out, and it was great working with them. It's just the fact that, I guess, again, I was just on the wrong side of the glass. But, yeah.
Yeah, I actually, as Mike was saying, I was on the opposite side of the glass, you know. I was playing drums in a lot of local bands and stuff like that. I did a lot of recording and stuff like that. I mean, I guess it was a really great experience, you know what I mean? I've really enjoyed recording things as opposed to mixing and mastering them. I mean, it's great doing both things, you know what I mean? And now I know how to do both.
It's the contrast of like a session artist to me who was actually behind the board.
Yeah. Right. So now that sort of brings you to where you guys are in Clifton now. You have your own studio that you're able to work in whenever you want, however you want. You completely designed on your own. So tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, we moved in over there. Originally, this room was sort of a mess, but it was very nice. It's got very high ceilings and everything like that.
Yeah, you worked with the acoustics of it, you said?
We moved in everything from bass traps to diffusers. We hung up our own ceiling panels, which that was a mess and a half trying to get that up.
Yeah, we made a lot of it too.
There. But we basically ended up going through all this, and we were supposed to actually put up more absorbers, more material, but we ended up going through a bunch of mixes. The most notable one, we went through Green Day's mixes.
Okay.
For American Idiot. Now, they won a Grammy for the production of that album, which was fantastic, and it was so crystal clear, but we actually found elements of tape hiss and things like that on there, which is things that most people didn't hear. So we ended up keeping, you know, the system that we had the way that it was because it just produced such a nice flat mix for us. But it was pretty awesome. Yeah.
And how long have you had the studio so far?
September?
Yeah, around there. September, October.
It's certainly come a long way since then.
Yeah.
So you released your first album, which is called Solidarity, in August of 2012.
Solidarity was definitely an experience for us. It was sort of the band trying to find its own identity.
Right.
So, granted, it was not the easiest thing in the world for us to do, especially because I ended up starting off the album on my own. In the beginning, I was very frustrated with not being able to find musicians that were sort of taking things very seriously. At the age when this started up, even here at Bergen, it was just very challenging to find the right people. Not to mention everyone around this scene is sort of a little bit more metal, a little bit more hardcore, and this is a straight rock alternative act. But we feel like we've actually done a really good job. Some of those songs have been around for a while. The second track of it, or even the first track, I actually started writing here in the piano labs.
Oh,
so
that's
that was pretty
interesting.
cool.
That's good.
But yeah, we definitely found our own identity in that, and I think for the next one, we're picking it up and we're running with it.
Yeah, I wasn't in Strayth when Solidarity was being written. I joined shortly after it, but I mean, when Mike asked me to play guitar, I kind of brought my own little
flair.
Yeah, I guess.
And how did you two get together?
Well, actually, it's a funny story. We both worked at a haunted attraction out in Clifton, or Passaic. I don't know, it's on the border. But, I mean, I met Mike while my friend was picking me up. And, I don't know, he saw guitars on my wall in my room, and eventually he asked me to play. And, I mean, I was kind of hesitant at first. You know, I played drums for every band I had been in except this one. And, but I don't know, he was like, dude, just come jam with us. And I was like, all right, you know, I'll come jam. So, I don't know, it seemed to work out really well. I mean, the first practice we had as a full band, I mean, the guys were really surprised at how quick I had picked everything up.
Really
and
fast.
Yeah.
Well, you said you were normally doing drums.
Yeah.
And now you do lead guitar.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cool switch.
And then from that album, you have the video that was released for Lock and Key. And that was also a big step, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was absolutely terrifying. We released Lock and Key originally going into it with no experience whatsoever in any sort of video production. Actually, probably the fact that we did that video probably makes me feel a little bit better being in front of cameras over here.
Right.
It was totally different because we were used to a live atmosphere, always having a crowd in front of us, always having an audience. But it's the fact that we were able to release that and actually get through it. I feel that the next video that we have coming up, we're going to be able to hit it with flying colors.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. How do you feel?
Well, I wasn't in Strayth for that either. But I'm actually going to be in the next one that we're shooting on Saturday.
Exactly.
So
So
gonna get to that.
when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the next video that's coming up called Affliction. And we'll see you then. Stay tuned. Thank you, everyone. Welcome back to Bergen Outlook. Today we have Mike Zielinski and Tom Tierney in the studio from Strayth. My name's Christine Whelan. And we're going to talk a little bit more about their album that's coming up and their latest video. But first, let's get a little bit more background. How old were you when you started playing music?
Well, when I was 10 years old, my mom bought me a set of bongos, and that wasn't really like a drum kit, so that kind of got tossed by the wayside. And then I picked up guitar at 13. I started singing in a chorus when I was in high school. And then at 17, I picked up the drums again. And that's pretty much where I stayed until Mike asked me to play guitar, and then that's where I'm at now.
And pretty much threw him into that.
Yeah.
I started playing saxophone at second grade in Hasbrook Heights, and I honestly wasn't a fan of that at all in the beginning. But around the same age where Tom picked up guitar, I picked up guitar as well, and that was life-changing. And then from that moment on, it was jazz ensembles, rock ensembles, choirs, chorale. Tom did choir as well, from what I recall. So we've been sort of all over the place since then. Can't stop playing.
All right. And so when was Strayth formed, and how was it formed?
There's no exact date, really, that Strayth was formed. The name came around maybe about 2 years ago when we started forming the band together. But I would say that it's always sort of been a work in progress. I started out the project myself.
Right, it was
with my
originally
own-
supposed to be a
a
solo
act,
project.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's blossomed throughout time. And when we started bringing in different band members, and especially Tom at the end, it's sort of always been revolutionized with each step through. Where now I think we're sitting on a pretty good identity and a pretty good band to back.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, not to toot my own horn, so to speak, but when I joined the band, I guess the chemistry really fell into place between you, me, Aaron, and Casey.
Okay.
And our songwriting became a lot more solid, especially with me and Mike on guitars. And I guess with me coming into the band, I brought my own little mix, like I said before, you know. We added stuff, we took stuff out, we added some different leads and whatnot. But I think overall, the shows we have played, it's been a great reaction from everybody who's seen it. They've been really supportive, everybody who's been on this project with us. Yeah.
How many band changes have you gone through?
Well, we've always had a lead guitarist problem. And it's usually because lead guitarists are very unique
Right.
and they're
And
very
now we have
selective.
Tom to fill the void, huh?
Yep.
Well, I mean, our first guitarist was sort of a very big melodic metal background, which, again, for us being a rock alternative band where we play things from maybe, let's say, Foo Fighters to Muse, wasn't exactly that kind of scene. And then the next guy that we brought in, we actually had a scheduling conflict with him because he joined the band not telling us that he was planning on moving out to Reno maybe
Oh,
like
well,
2 or 3 months
surprise.
later. So yeah, that was great. But then Tom sort of was like a blessing for the band. He sort of just like fell into the band's lap, and it's sort of amazing how that worked out because that was very last notice. That was
Yeah,
very
it was.
sudden.
Good job, Tom. So now about your second album, Uprise. How long have you been working on that so far?
I think we've been working on it pretty much since we got the studio, so since September, October area. And I mean, we've actually been really blessed with the amount of equipment that we have been able to put in there, you know what I mean?
Yes.
With me and Mike combined, we kind of filled up the whole studio, and we got some equipment from Casey, and I don't know, just the way it all worked out, it kind of just fell into our path, and it made the writing process a lot easier because, like I said, we have the equipment we need for production. So it definitely came out a lot faster than we thought it would, especially at this stage of the game. You know, we've only been working on it about 5 to 6 months, and we've made incredible progress
Right.
as far as I'm concerned.
Now, about writing, you write the lyrics, right?
Well, our writing process pretty much starts out with, let's say, like a piano or an effects track, and then over time, we start developing other instruments on top of it. We're taking a very U2 Joshua Tree approach to the writing, where we want to actually have a very moving instrumental before we even put down the lyrics.
Right.
Where it should be sort of my responsibility, and I should be able to complete it to actually put a meaningful vocal over a meaningful instrumental.
Okay.
So that's sort of the approach that we're trying to take over there. What's crazy too is with our writing, we tried to average out because we spend a lot of time in the studio.
Yes.
We tried to see how much time we actually do in there. Just a little fact about this: if we keep going at the rate that we're going, we're going to log in about 2,500 to 2,600 hours by the time this album's done.
Especially with the ongoing Sunday all-nighters, right? Those
Yeah.
have been, you lock in the studio.
Yeah.
Those have been,
We've been known
Crazy.
to do that a lot, yeah.
Yes.
We usually do about one lock-in a week where we just pull an all-nighter and just write. And I mean, by the end of it, we're just exhausted, but
Yeah.
We
it's
definitely keep the coffee industry going.
Yeah.
well, certainly. And now, between the two albums, what kind of differences do you find?
I would say Solidarity was a great album to start a band on, you know what I mean? As for Uprise, it's definitely taken a turn for the epic, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. But it's definitely got a lot more parts to it. There's orchestras and choirs to some parts, and definitely our writing process has evolved a lot, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
We're definitely pulling out different attributes and different elements that I don't think anyone else has really seen coming. Where we're starting to essentially mix genres. We found out that there was some really cool things when we started soloing certain tracks of certain instruments and then muting certain ones away, where we noticed that when you actually select certain instruments and you play them together, they start playing different genres of music.
Right.
So like our guitars might sound like they have some kind of a punk sound, but then when you take the piano line and the drum line, it sounds like you're listening to jazz or blues.
Okay.
But when you stack those on top of each other, we feel like we sort of hit a very nice universal sound where we feel a lot of people might be able to compare to it.
That's good. Mm-hmm. And time-wise, how much time do you think you've put difference in between Solidarity and Uprise?
I think Solidarity came out in August, so I mean we were full-fledged writing Uprise by September, October, so just a couple months.
Sort of give like a cool down period. There was a lot of work that went into doing Solidarity, especially because of the fact that it had such a high production expectation. We were working with this guy, Mike White, on it, and he was actually a prior teacher of mine, but we stayed in touch after he left SAE, and then I left as well, of course, graduating the program. Now, he went off to Cathedral City in California when Whitney Houston passed away because he went to go sell off her studio. He was her main go-to producer over time.
Interesting. Very cool.
But it was very hard sort of meeting his expectations, but I think it just made me a better engineer on that side at the end.
That's good. All right. So, again, we're going to be right back And this time we are going to get the final scoop about what Affliction's new video is going to be like, which is going to be recorded and filmed this weekend. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. My name's Christine Whelan, and you're watching Bergen Outlook. We got Mike Zielinski and Tom Tierney from Strayth in the studio today, and we're going to talk about their latest video, Affliction, off their album, Solidarity. And this is actually going to be filmed this weekend. So, tell us a little bit about that.
Sure thing. Do you want to take it off?
Yeah, sure. Well, Affliction is basically the story of a guy who he's working your regular suit and tie job, and it's the process of evolution between the mind frame of, you know, society expects me to do this and what makes him actually happy. So as the time in the video progresses, he goes through a bunch of changes and stuff like that. And at the end, he winds up figuring out where his roots are and what really drives him to be inspired and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. The video is definitely a sort of transformation process. And like Tom was saying, and Tom's actually going to be playing the lead in it.
Nice.
Where he's going to be
Good
the main lead in the storyline, and I'm actually going to be acting as his shadow.
Okay.
We have, well, I'm not going to give away too much, but we have me basically trailing him throughout this whole process, and you see his shadow actually acting through the words of the song, where he's sort of taking that under consideration, and under the influence of that, he starts going back to his roots, where he goes from a guy in a suit and a tie to a punk rocker again. Yeah. His tattoo sleeves showing and everything like that, so that's pretty cool. Not to mention, we're taking it to a whole new level. Our first music video for Lock and Key was very simple. And it was actually a very long shoot, and for our directors and our director of photography, it was the first time they were shooting a music video.
Okay.
Where we shot it basically between 7:30 p.m. on a Saturday night, and then we went up to 4:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning. And it was all one scene, and we think the shots came out great.
Right.
But we wanted definitely a lot more, and that was the whole entire crew all together. So we're bringing out all sorts of lights. We have lighting directors for that. We have different sorts of camera that we're going to be implementing, everything from smoke machines to strobes. So it should be a pretty far out video, especially the storyline.
And you're working with Mike Greco?
Yeah, Michael Greco is our director. He's extremely talented. He works on a lot of movie sets over in the city, and he works on a lot of TV series. I wish I knew all of his credentials, so I can definitely put his name out there, but he is absolutely fantastic. He's been great to us.
Right.
Also, Walter Deptouch is our director of photography, and he's got an extraordinary eye. A lot of the camera angles that you see throughout Lock and Key was his editing work, and it was phenomenal the way that he always kept the action going.
Okay.
Despite the fact that we had certain parts, being new to that video, we had certain parts where maybe we weren't performing at our best.
Right.
But we sort of got used to that process, and that's where I think Affliction comes in, and where we're really going to hit it off with that video. It should be a really, really nice surprise for everyone, especially because of its difference in style.
Yeah.
Right.
I also think Affliction is a good way to usher in Uprise as well, because it kind of gives the representation of what the message we're trying to bring.
You were looking for a
with
connection
Uprise.
between the two, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the video is going to be a nice way to, like I said, push that in. So.
Yeah, Uprise deals much more with a sort of controversial aspect. It deals with everything from racism, sexism, to just general oppression, and from people needing to take that action and that stand in their life.
Right.
Our whole entire album lineup, we have 4 of them. So we have Solidarity, Uprise, which we're working on now, then we plan on doing Revolution and Liberation, which is sort of an aspect that you can take and you can associate that with any part of your life, with any sort of decision that you have to make, any sort of big thing that's happening on in your life. And we feel, while we're going through this, we're actually almost orchestrating how the band's moving forward, because Solidarity was our beginning, Uprise is our move up.
Cool. So where are you hoping that this album takes you? What are you looking at?
Well, I mean, right now the music video is looking to, I guess, just get us a bunch of followers for when Uprise comes out, you know what I mean?
We're trying to backtrack, sort of, and not push Affliction to be something that's going to sell us out or get us onto radio. We're actually looking to make a nice fan base for ourselves for when we launch Uprise, because we really feel that Uprise is going to be a very, very good start to the band actually moving forward throughout radio waves.
Sounds great. Well, best of luck to you guys, and can't wait to see the video for Affliction. Keep an eye out for it, Strayth Affliction. Go out and search the album Solidarity. And thank you very much for joining us for this season's first episode of Bergen Outlook. I'm Christine Whelan. Tom Tierney, Mike Zielinski.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.